Co.
Start.
Hey.
Con.
Ver. Send.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the 7th episode of Let's CoStaRt a Conversation. Our cohort is made up of VSA members across the entire Midwest, and we serve to be an active voice and participant in the regional and local VSA community. Last time, we talked about mental health in the APITA families during the times of the coronavirus, so be sure to give it a listen if you haven't already.
Woo! Welcome back, everybody. So glad to be back here. And just a reminder, want to show you the mission of why we started this podcast. We started this podcast in order to create a safe space for us to talk about life, school, community, identity, and everything in between. We wanted to use this platform as a way to empower each other's narratives and to destigmatize what it means to be Vietnamese, Asian American, or just a person going through life in general. Hopefully, you all can resonate us with our stories and just vibe with us with a capital V.
Woo! I'm excited to vibe with all of y'all. But yeah, anything honestly that is said during our podcast are the views and experience of the individual speakers themselves and do not reflect UVSA-Midwest as a whole. Also, any topics discussed in our podcast may be personal and sensitive to some individuals. So just a heads up.
Thanks for the disclaimers, Kang. So today, for this informal episode, yes, we will be doing an informal episode. We will be playing a little game of Two Truths and a Lie, which mostly everyone should know. But after that, we will also be sharing some stories from our lives, so that way y'all can get to know a little bit more about us and what goes on in our lives. But before we go on into that, how about we go into some introductions of who is here today? I see a new face, but we will save that for later. So David, would you like to go first?
Absolutely not. I'm just kidding. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. As you may know, my name is David Chan. I use he, him pronouns, and I am the Michigan CoSR. And what has been going on with me? Well, if you can't see or hear, for my viewers, you could probably see it, but my ankle is currently broken on screen. But if you're listening, yes, I recently had fallen off a roof doing the most boldest job of them all, but unfortunately I have fallen and I am recovering from my ankle. But other than that, I am a-okay. How about you, Kang? What you been up to, bestie?
Yeah, oh man. But yeah, my name is Kang Fan. I use pronouns he, him, his, and I am the Indiana CoSR. And what's been going on with me? Well, my class and I, we just started our new class. It's called Molecule Cells and Tissues. It's basically, your really hard biochem, but molecular biology, cell biology, and genetics, literally wrapped in a 1 6-week course. And honestly, this is kind of an understatement, but it's kicking my butt right now. But overall, I'm surviving. How about you, Jennifer?
Yeah, so for those who don't know me, my name is Jennifer. I go by the pronoun she, her, hers, and I am the Nebraska CoSR. So I just recently found out that I will be moving to Texas at the end of this year to student teach next semester. So that's exciting. Yeah, I am a senior, so I'll be graduating next spring. But before I graduate, I have to student teach first. So I will be in Texas for that. Houston specifically. So if any UVSA South people are watching, hit me up. I will be in the area.
Let me call my contacts for you real quickly. They have good food down there too.
Yeah, send me some recs.
I got you. I'll find the recs. Well, thank you so much for everyone that has introduced themselves. Seems like we all have been going through it physically or mentally, but King, I was gonna tell you just as recently, like that's why I didn't go on the medical track because it's kind of too much for me. But I praise you for being on that track. But we have a familiar but not so familiar face to our podcast today. I'm here to introduce, and my complete honor to introduce us to what you would call our boss, but not our boss, if that makes sense. We have Linda Ngo here, our internal vice president from UVSA-Midwest. She's currently based in Seattle, but is an Indiana native. So I'll let her do the honors of introducing herself. Linda.
Hello, everyone. And don't listen to David. I'm just a friend. Please do not flex my title. I'm just chilling. But yeah, so I go by the pronoun she, her, hers. And like David said, I've been born and raised in Indiana, but recently moved to Washington State a couple months ago. So I'm currently here in Seattle So if you ever want to check the place out or want to come visit, come through and I'll pick you up. You can go explore. But yeah, I've just recently been catching up on writing my Yelp reviews for food places I've been, because procrastination, and I have like at least 20 food places that I haven't reviewed yet. But hey, it's a slow process. But yeah, thank you for having me here today.
Are you one of those people that like Yelps every single place you go to,
Yelp
even like a
review.
McDonald's?
I sometimes, but then it gets too much. So I was like, maybe I should just do the more unique places.
Okay, well, I'll keep that in mind. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Linda, for joining us. And so, we'll get right into it because, what we all about informal and just, the chill of us. You'll hear my slang somehow. But we're going to play my favorite game, which is Truth, Truths, and a Lie. Pretty much, if you haven't heard about the game before, I'll be randomly selecting two people in which they'll be telling us two truths and a lie. And all four of us are going to have to figure out which one is the lie. So I hope you're ready. And, the first one I'm thinking of in the top of my mind is Jennifer. Hello, you are my victim for today. But, tell us, what is your two truths and a lie?
Yeah, thanks for choosing me, David.
You're ever so welcome.
It's not like I didn't just already have my two truths and a lie ready, which I do. So,
Oh.
So my first one is that I've never gotten a speeding ticket. My second one is that I love spicy food. And then my third one is that I have 8 piercings. So 1 is speeding ticket, 2 is spicy food, and 3 is piercings. So on a count of 3, I want you to put your fingers up which one you think it is. Ready? 1, 2. Do y'all need more time?
Wait, yeah, give me like 5 more seconds.
I think I know because
This is
one of them
hard.
is already proof on her nose if you could see it.
Yeah, I feel like.
But she already got a nose piercing on her nose if you could.
Right.
That's cheating right there.
Hey, that's 1. I said 8. Okay.
Hey,
Okay, I think I'm good.
I think I know.
2, 3.
2. Oh, we all chose 2.
Hey. Wait, how do y'all know? Dang, that is the lie.
Okay, I feel like we recalled like during our meetings that we
I was
would
gonna say,
talk
yeah.
about like spicy food, and then you would always be the one that's like, can't it be me? I would never do it. Well, are we right then, right? So is it
Yeah, you are right. So I've actually never gotten a speeding ticket. I'm like literally a grandma when I drive. I drive either at the speed limit or 5 over.
We love a safety
I like
Yes.
driver.
I have a really old car, so I like physically can't drive fast because of my old car. And yeah, I do have 8 piercings. So I have 1 on my nose here. I have 4 on this ear and 3 on this ear. So
Wow, so she's got 4 on her right
Easy.
ear, 3 on her left, and then 1 on her nose.
yes, my Spotify listeners can't see it, but
Mhm.
We love
Did it hurt, Jennifer?
I would say the healing process is more annoying than the actual like piercing. Yeah, it takes a while to heal, but I don't know.
Yeah. Underneath my headphones, I actually have piercings myself. So I was really scared because they had like a needle and just went right through it. I was like, ah!
Yeah, no, it's scary. It's scary. I could honestly do a story time about my piercings, but
But I just want to give one more victim to my two truths and a lie game. And Kang, hello there,
Of
bestie.
course.
How are you doing?
Great. All right. So my two truths and a lie, and just like Jennifer, I also came prepared. So my two truths and a lie. So my first one is I was last year on Spotify Wrapped in the top 2.0001% of Martin Garrix fans. So basically the top 200. My second one is I own 12 pairs of shoes. And then my last one is I have a scar on my left eye from a really bizarre racetrack accident when I was like racing during a 5K. Which
These
one is
are
it?
very specific.
Too
Exactly. You gotta make it
specific.
specific to make it hard.
Oh my
All right, I'll
god.
give you all like 5 seconds. 5,
the
4,
first
Oh
one.
my god.
Maybe I think I'm
3,
ready. I think I know.
2,
Can you repeat
1.
Wait,
Oh yeah.
wait.
Repeat the prompts for Jennifer. She doesn't
Oh, sorry. So 1 is Martin Garrix fan. 2 is the pairs of shoes, 12 pairs, and then 3 is scar on left eye.
I think I know. Do you think you know, Jennifer?
I think I know.
3, 2, 1, go.
I choose 2.
Oh,
What do you choose, Jennifer?
just one.
1. Linda chose 2.
I
So
chose
Y'all are all actually wrong. I'm so sorry.
What?
wait,
So this is kind of a cop out. So I do have a scar on my left eye, but it's not from a racetrack accident. It's actually from an ice skating accident. That's kind of a cop out.
so you white lied to me?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's not how the game works. Well, unfortunately, we're gonna have to move on to our main event. So I thank you for playing with me. I'm here all night, 24/7. If you need me, holler me on Zoom. But Jennifer, let's get into the tea.
I mean, David, since you were calling on me and Kang for the two truths and a lie, I think
Oh no.
you for our next activity. So someone told me that you love to travel and that your car is like known to be your travel buddy and you go everywhere with your car. So I know you have a lot of stories about all these traveling experiences. Can you tell me a story from your favorite trip or your favorite vacation that you've been to?
Absolutely. And girl, who told you that I drive so much? I do not tell my insurance I drive X amount of miles, But yeah, no, I would love to get into it. So for those that don't know, so I am in love with my car. His name is Baymax. And for those that are car people, it's a 2011 white Audi Q5 with black stripes on the side of it. And it's a sports model, so you get to go vroom vroom a little bit a couple times. Definitely a gas guzzler. It doesn't really last too much long in the gas, but it can handle itself, right? So I think my favorite vacation or trip that was most memorable was when I was going down to Atlanta. So from Detroit to Atlanta, it's about like an 11-hour drive going with the I-75 interstate. And it's a pretty easy drive. This one particularly, I was going down to the non-existent Imagine Festival, which did not happen, RIP. And on my way down there, I was passing through, I passed through Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, and then I finally hit into Atlanta. When I got to Tennessee, I went to go get a pit stop, but then I had realized in front of me that a mile ahead there was a big car crash. All the trucks were stopped, no one was moving, and so I decided to take on myself that, I can find a very different approach into getting around this interstate. And my GPS decided to take me through the woods. And next to know, lo and behold, I'm running on like 1/4 of gas in like a state trail, and I did not know what to do. I was stuck in the middle of nowhere. I called my mom. I was like, man, I'm like stuck out here. I don't know what to do. And then, as every Asian mom, she was like, what's wrong with you? Are you stupid or something? Like, you should have filled in gas. And so I like turned around, pumped in gas, and then I took a different route. And this route felt like one of those like commercials from Jeep where it was like off track road and everything like that. So me and Baymax Lily were like driving through like, I don't know where it was, but it was like an off-road trail, and my car was like shaking from like edge to edge, bumper to bumper, and like I could have sworn to you that like my car probably lost like a couple screws or something, because the minute I got out of that, like my car was like shaking and like tires were like a little bit deflated, so like had to call AAA and get to like fix my tires. But I made it to Atlanta 3 hours later, and yeah, it's probably like the best story and most memorable. Some people have asked me if I ever like hit any animals, because my car has a tendency to hit like squirrels, chipmunks, and like birds on its way like down the road. So yeah, it's been pretty rough. But that's my most memorable one. But Jennifer, do you have like a memorable trip or anything like that? Like, but definitely don't be killing animals like me though.
No, I would never. I can't believe you did that. The poor squirrel. The poor
I'm
squirrel.
sorry.
You're like the
Praise
opposite
to
of
Mother
Snow
Nature.
White. Yeah, I can talk about a story. So I would say, I guess this isn't like, it's a trip. I wouldn't say it's like my favorite trip, but I would say this is the first trip that I have ever flown by myself on, like a solo flight. So I went to Portland, I think it was last year, so December 2020. And I went to Portland to meet my cousin, his was my first time meeting her. And so it was also low-key a very spontaneous trip too, because I knew some like VSA people in like the Pacific Northwest as well. So I was going to meet up with them. And then I ended up having 3 of my friends from Kansas also spontaneously join me as well. But like I was the only one from Nebraska, so I flew by myself all the way to Portland. And it was honestly a really fun time. I think just like the experience of flying by yourself is really intimidating and scary at first. And I just wanted to send out a message to those who like have never done that before, that it is an experience, but honestly, it's worth it because you're taking that big first step. And so if you really want to travel and you love traveling, then I highly recommend you like do solo trip or something. It's really fun.
Retweet to that, honestly.
Yeah, but Linda, I know we haven't really heard from you a lot this episode. Would you like to share your story?
Yeah, sounds good. So hearing your all stories, I just remembered this trip I took with my cousin Amy a couple of years ago. So shout out to Amy. It was a pretty hectic trip, even though it was like a little day trip. So essentially the context was my cousin and Amy a couple of years ago, we had to buy a dress for a wedding. You know, we had to like go to a mall, but the malls in Bloomington, they didn't have any dresses that, you know, were vibing with our style. So we're like, okay, we're gonna head over to Indianapolis, which is about an hour away, go like scout out the dresses there, and then head back to Bloomington. Easy, like there's no issues with that because we've done it before. So Amy and I drive to Indianapolis and we're kind of stressed because there's not a lot of like selections there. And we like look around for a couple hours and then eventually we did find a dress. So we're super happy and we start to head back home. So at this point, it's like starting to be evening. So the sun was setting. And Amy and I were driving and the GPS starts taking us down this road that's like more back roads. And we've never taken this before and the sun starts setting. And we're like, shoot, why is everything so dark and so scary? And we look at the gas meter and Amy needs to get gas. And we're like, oh shoot, we have to go to a gas station, but it's like really sketch out here. So we have to stop by this gas station and Amy hops out to get gas. And I didn't want her to go alone. So I was like, Amy, I'll protect you. So I pull out my pepper spray, which mind you, I've only used once before and that was to test. So I was like, I need to make sure that it works still. So I'm gonna test it. So I spray at a tree and I was like, okay, good. It's all good. So Amy is getting the gas and then we get back in the car. Everything's okay. And as we're driving along, I felt an itch on my eye and so I started rubbing it, but I forgot there's pepper spray on my hand. So I started tearing up and I was like, oh my God, I cannot see because of the pepper spray. And Amy gives me a water bottle and I start to pour it in my eye to get the pepper spray out. So at that point, I'm good. So we are driving a little bit further and we're in the country roads at this point and we're pulling up to this like gravelly road. And in the distance, we see this really big, dark figure and 2 glowing eyes. And we were so scared. We didn't even know if we could turn around. So we just start inching closer and it didn't move. And we tried honking at it and it still didn't move. And as we got closer, it got into the headlights and it was this really big dog. But I've never seen a dog like that angry before. So we just zoomed by and then we drove all the way home. And then after that, we're like, we're never going to drive along that route ever again. And we learned our lesson. So that's a story. It's pretty hectic, but it's a story that we'll remember forever.
You sure you didn't see Bigfoot that day?
Honestly, maybe it was a legendary Bigfoot, but I don't have any like photo evidence.
Damn.
Rip.
Dang. Yeah, Linda, that sounds that's so scary. But trying to think. In terms of maybe related scary experiences, I remember I think y'all may have remembered this, but I was in Colorado one time on a ski trip. And you know, as a guy that usually works out of town a lot on like my free time, I thought, okay, the altitude wouldn't kill me at all. I think I'm fine. I would go and then when the first day we got there, I felt really lightheaded. Like every time like I would like stand up for whatever reason, I just get super lightheaded and like I'd want to like pass out and go to bed. So the altitude definitely got to me that whole trip. And then I remember the third day we were there, we went skiing. And I remember at the Airbnb I was at, we were at around 8,000 feet. The ski resort we were at was 12,000 feet, so even worse altitude. Basically, we got in, and as we got out of the car and got in line to get our stuff, I like felt my heart pounding. Like I could barely breathe. I was getting lightheaded. I was like scared. I honestly thought I was gonna pass out and potentially have to be rushed to like an emergency department or something. So I was like, holy shit, I'm really freaking out. Part of my language. But basically got through skiing, and then I honestly, like within 1 hour, I literally had to quit skiing because I couldn't breathe anymore. And then basically went into the car that we rented and like was there for 5 hours waiting for my friends to be done because I just couldn't breathe. I was so scared. And like I remember I was so happy that some friends like left to go home early because when they took me, we went to a convenience store and got an oxygen bottle that I bought, and I used it the whole like few days we were there, and it literally saved my life. I didn't joke with them, but I literally thought it was like just like addictive as heck because like I could never stop taking it because it was so relaxing to me. But yeah, basically the next few days I got better with the altitude, but that day was so freaking scary for me. Oh, David, I feel like you may have something not obviously similar to that, but do you have anything is scary at all?
For the record, I hate scary stuff. That's why Halloween is like the worst holiday for me. I get scared pretty easily. And well, I guess I could share like this short one that I have is that so I was dragged into a haunted house one day. It was at the greatest. I was at Cedar Point down when I was in high school, and in Cedar Point, which is in Sandusky, Ohio, they have like this big thing called Halloween Weekends. And what they do is that they sometimes will ask you, it's like, are the characters okay to touch you? And so without knowing, my friends have kind of just said, yes, let them touch David, but don't tell him. And I was like, so you read my consent without telling me in my head after the whole thing, right? And we were going to like this butcher house, haunted house. And at first I was like, well, I have my friends. I shouldn't be too scared. But I was like, about to piss my pants, to be honest. And they had like this butcher guy who had like a pig's mask on and like a saw. And one, I don't like butchers. I don't like the look of blood sometimes. And just seeing a saw come after me would probably be like the worst day of my life. So we go into the haunted house. It's like kind of like jump scares. So at first I was like screaming a little bit. I was like, ah! I was like, oh, I don't want to. But the part that was the most scariest was when we were in like this tunnel, and I could see, just like Linda's story, is that I saw two gleaming eyes, but instead of like the night ones, they were like red. It was like right in front of me in this tunnel. I had to walk across this tunnel. And when I walked across, like they had like holes within like the tunnel. Someone's hand popped out and like grabbed my shoulder. And so like I had like flailed my arms like all over the place. I started hitting people and I was like, I want out of here. And then I ran right straight past the tunnel and I hit the butcher. And I was like screaming like a little girl. I was like, I was like, I can't do this. And then like I was crying on my knees, and my friends had to pick me up and take me out. And then they were like, we're so sorry. We probably should have not said that we allowed them to touch you. And I was like, you what? I can't believe you. But that is my scary event. Never again will I go to a haunted house.
I could not. I hate scary stuff. Like, you will never catch me at a haunted house. I can't even do scary movies.
Perfect. You and I will never go there.
Count me in. I cannot do horror or any haunted things. Like, I would pass out.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, that's my scary experiences. But I guess, moving it back away from the scary thing, because Halloween is over. It's Christmas time, y'all. I just kind of curious because we're all part of UVSA, VSA in like our respective regions, right? So I kind of just wonder, how did you get baited? And I just want to capitalize the word BAITED, baited, because we all started somewhere, and it's always a story to tell. So, Linda, you traveling from Indiana to Seattle, how did you get started? How was that for you?
Are you asking about like our
How'd you get
local VSA or UVSA-Midwest?
I guess however you want to interpret that. I think I would love
Ooh.
to hear any side of the story, really.
Yeah, so I guess I could start with how I got introduced to VSA in general. So, like I mentioned, I went to school at Indiana University. So, when I first went to college or got into college, my older cousin Alex, he was already involved with VSA at IU, and he encouraged me, "Hey, you should apply for eBoard." But mind you, I was a freshman. I was like, "What is even VSA? Like, what are you trying to get me involved in?" But trusting my older cousin, I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. It sounds like fun. And then ever since then, I've been roped in to all these positions, but I'm loving every single part of it. And then I think it was about a year later, we had heard news that the leadership summit of that year was going to be held at University of Notre Dame. So me and about 15 other VSA IU kiddos, we drove all the way up 5 hours to Notre Dame and spent the weekend there, and it was so much fun. And ever since then, I just can't stop being involved. It's like kind of addicting in a way, like being around all these people who share the same passions as you. And you all share the same similarities as well. It's really heartwarming. Yeah, so that's my story. But how about you, Kang? How did you get involved in VSA or UVSA-Midwest?
Trying to think. I do remember in terms of VSA, I got baited. Not baited. I took an opportunity.
No.
Coming
Say the
from.
truth. You got baited, didn't you?
Honestly, I actually didn't really get baited. I'm trying to think. I remember attending a AAA meeting, which is not the car insurance, the Asian American Association meeting, and Stephen Quinn, shout out to Stephen, he was one of the members of VSA there, and he basically just advertised going to VSA just because he knew I was Vietnamese, and I was thinking about maybe finding a community that like had similar background to me. And so on a chance, went to my first VSA meeting. It was literally in the winter, just because I remember in this fall, I said I wouldn't go to any org meetings, just spending that semester trying to get used to college. But that winter, went to my first VSA meeting. Wasn't like a huge member like that whole winter and fall, just because actually in the fall I had a class that conflicted with meetings, so I couldn't go to those meetings. But also like somewhat involved in terms of talking with people within the club and stuff like that. In terms of UVSA-Midwest, I definitely got exposure at the VO1. I can't remember exactly which VO1. I believe 17th VO1, right? Okay, thank you, Linda. The 17th VO1 at IU, just because I was a student at IU, so it's obviously easy for me to be at that VO1. But it was a really cool experience. Love my family. Shout out to Shangang. And just seeing the work that everyone put in to make that conference work, and the way it ended was really awesome. Basically that allowed me to take a chance on LS this last spring, just being involved in that. And yeah, it helped me with some, I wouldn't say bait, but I guess persuasion from a few people within VSA. I was able to run for CoStaRt for India, and I've enjoyed the process so far. But yeah.
Wow. I just want to echo that because that's kind of like similar to how do you too. Like, okay, I necessarily didn't get baited, but I just say that as like a joke. Well, here's the thing. The one thing that I think VSA loves to do is that they offer you free food in order for you to get there. And a retweet to that, for those who know, So for my VSA adventure, I started as a freshman, and shout out to Sue Win for actually being the first person I met at like our fall like fair. She had kind of offered me to go to VSA, and at first I was kind of hesitant because I was already busy with like other commitments. And it wasn't until the spring semester that I met certain individual. Her name is Mia. She's one of my best friends and also like a motherly figure to me. And to be honest, I got involved with like the world of dancing, which is like a lot of things that VSAs love to do. And that's one of my favorite memories, is that when I came to VSA, I was able to find a community through like the world of dance. And for me, I've always loved to dance, but I just never really showed that like part of me. And so, meeting you and also like Sue and all those other folks too, they kind of preempted me to get more involved with VSA, in which, I became marketing director, vice president of my own local VSA, to the point where I kind of got myself involved with UVSA-Midwest as like the CoSR, and even jumping another step further into UNASA, which is the national part of VSA. And being now my current positions is that I'm, director of CPP selection, and then being the Michigan CoSR, it's definitely challenged me a lot, but also it's been like a really big stepping stone for me because, like Linda says, you love what you do. And what I love to do is being a part of VSA and kind of being like a preemptive role model, and also a good peer to folks that like kind of need it. Because, Midwest itself is not the biggest Asian American population, but we're out here to stick up for each other. But forget all the tears. Don't forget about that. Shout out to my my Humjoy family line, where like my rock and my loves. But Jennifer, how about you? What was your best story?
I guess I can probably start off with where my experience came from with VSA. So before college, I grew up in a very, I guess like there was not a lot of Asian people in my community, and like not even just Asian, but like people as well. So I wasn't really connected with my culture and my roots and background, and like people that were similar to me, which is why going into college, I saw that it was very important for me to join organizations that I could meet more people that were like me. And so like going into my first VSA meeting, I also like didn't know anyone either. So I kind of just like went on a whim and just went to this VSA general body meeting, or it was like the open house. But the first person that I ever met and made a huge impression on me, his name is Stephen Pham. Shout out to him. He's also my aunt in VSA, so he really means a lot to me. But he was the one that kind of basically like pulled me through VSA. Like every week he'd check up on me and he'd be like, "Hey, are you going to this VSA meeting?" Or, "Hey, did you sign up for this conference?" And like, he would just always be there for me and make sure that I was welcomed and involved as possible, because he knew that I, don't really know anyone. Because, I know like some VSAs, like with the church and everything, like I know it's very prominent. And so a lot of like VSA people are also part of like TNTT and stuff like that. And so like they kind of knew each other, but I personally, I didn't know anyone. Like I'm not even from Lincoln, so I really didn't know anyone. So it was very important for me to create that bond. And he was also the one that told me about VO1, which brings me into my involvement with UVSA-Midwest, because he was also the family leader at the time for that VO1, and he made me also want to pursue a higher position and a higher role. And I ended up applying for family leader the year after. Yeah, and so I honestly think like my VSA experience has revolved around Stephen. But yeah.
Wow. And now look at her. She popping off in the world, y'all. Look at her.
Hey, get it, Jennifer.
Classic CoSR.
I love it. Just hearing all your stories make me want to go back to college. For those of you who don't know, I graduated from college in 2020. So that was when the pandemic started. So it was tough because we didn't have our graduation and whatnot. But I would say that if I could go back to the college days, I would do some things differently. So I would say that one thing I wish I would have learned in college was that probably to branch out to more organizations. I know that VSA played a really big part in my life, especially when I was in college, but I wanted to also spend more time with other like Asian organizations on campus, or maybe other leadership organizations. But there's only 12 hours in one day. You can't do everything that you want, which it sucks, but mental health is important, so you gotta keep yourself at the top of your priority list too. Yeah, so
I think That actually, well, I thought you said 12 hours in a day. I was like, girl, there's 24 hours in that whole day.
Oops, no.
But then again, the 12 hours is for you to sleep. So, you know, it makes sense. Or not sleep if you're a night owl like me. But yeah, no, I resonate with that because for myself too, is that I haven't graduated yet, but I am still about to graduate soon as like a 2022. And for myself, I missed a whole year of college. Like with COVID, it was all online and I wasn't able to really, you know, do the social activities I really wanted to. But I think it was like a blessing in disguise. With going through college and just like all the stress that we go through. I think one big thing that I really want people to impart if they're still in their college careers, but this also can translate to their careers too, is that most people get embarrassed when they don't have like their whole life figured out and like they feel that like the people around them have like, you know, they're going to law school, they're going to grad school, or like they have like a full-time job and like they're so excited about that, which is great. I definitely applaud that. But I think something to kind of realize too is that you need to take that step back and understand that everyone's journey is at a different pace. You shouldn't compare yourself to the person right next to you that has been like a bunch of achievements. Just know that your own value is important and that your achievements are your own achievements. You're the one that got them and you should be very um happy with how you are. I think a lot of people nowadays kind of compare themselves to like the valedictorians, salutatorians, and like the folks that are kind of like on high pedestals. And I really don't like that because for me, it kind of discourages the folks that have really been trying their holy best and all their best, sorry. And I said holy for some reason. I don't know. They've been trying all their best. And for me, I've always wanted to encourage the underdogs because, you know, I can see the potential in people. It's just you have to apply yourself. And, you know, even though you won't get immediate results, just know that the results will come forward too. And that's same thing for me because, you know, I'm trying to look for a job right now and I feel very discouraged because everyone's trying to everyone got into law school and got their jobs already. But for me, I feel that I'm behind, but I remind myself that I can do things on my own pace and that, you know, as long as I continue the honest work that I still do today, I will get there. And, you know, I will get my goal, which is to move to California and meet you on the West Coast, Linda. So please hold my hand. I gotta go over there and meet you.
Yes, come through. I'll be waiting for you.
Yeah, David, like after you said all that, it kind of made me think about like what I kind of wished I did in college or like my recap of my college experience as I am also approaching graduation and like moving. I think something that I wished I kind of knew or I guess did differently is taking my time throughout college and not feeling very rushed and not feeling like I always have to do something all the time. I kind of like wished that like I might like I don't know, I kind of just wished that I took a semester just to like chill and take a break and go MIA. But at the same time, imposter syndrome, like I feel like I'm like, so that's why I always have to do something. But like I think the reason why I am thinking about it this way is because I am student teaching next semester, I'm basically losing a semester of like actual college. And that's like in addition to COVID basically taking away like a whole year of college too. So like I just feel like I wish I had more time and I wouldn't mind honestly staying back another semester and graduating later. Like I really wouldn't mind at all if that means that I am able to continue on making these college memories and being in the organizations that I love and have passion for, like VSA, for example, right? So I would tell my past self to slow down and take it easy because you're gonna start running out of time, and next thing you know, like you are gonna be an adult and you're gonna grow up and you're gonna do different things that you wish you could go back to. Like Linda said, she wished she could go back to college. I'm in college right now and I wish I could go back too.
Yes, I heard that Slack message earlier too. So you hella busy too. So definitely you do need more time.
Yeah, and speaking of time, like pretty much what Jennifer said. Well, I guess context. Like Linda, I am a college graduate too. I actually just recently graduated this spring. But I definitely vibe with what Jennifer said in terms of like I always felt like I had to get something done in college. Like if I wasn't busy, then I feel like my time was wasted. But I remember like this is so late. I remember like I think April or May. Literally, I think after I graduated, I went into lab one day to do some last minute lab work, and one of my grad students there at the time was like, "Hey, Kang, what are you doing here?" And I was like, "I just want to get some stuff done, because I just felt really bored, like unproductive." And like she had some really good advice. She just basically said, "Yeah, even though you have like nothing to do like on some days, just take time, like be thankful for the days where you don't have anything to do. Just like take some time to just relax, chill. Don't take life too fast or serious. Just like, take time for yourself and just have an off day." Like, I wish I would have had that advice literally my freshman year, just because, as a pre-med student, like, I had this mindset where to get things done, get all my requirements out of the way, make my resume, like make myself stand out for med schools. And like, I wish I would have taken it more slower in college, take my time. Instead of like going through it fast and getting through to med school, just like taking time to like cherish the events and the memories along the way and the people along the way too. But I still made some like great memories. Obviously, like my thing is I should have taken some more time just to slow down and just experience a little more. Yeah.
Well, I think the key thing that I always tell myself, and this is something I've heard from like a big mentor of mine, is that you don't have to have your life figured out by 21, y'all. Like, as much as we are deemed adults by 21, we have still much to learn, and who knows? Maybe we'll be fully happy by 30, but I don't want to think that far because I am still a young soul. But yes, well, I just want to say that, all these stories are amazing, and hopefully for our viewers and listeners out there too, you were able to kind of connect with us in like, these spaces, because, we've all been there. We've been through it, we're going through it right now, or we've kind of reflected on it. So I think that's like the most important thing that like we are always like striving for in these episodes, even though if it's an informal one too. It can get kind of deep. But with that being said, this is towards the end of our episode. Again, I would love to say thank you, and we deeply appreciate our viewers and listeners out there for sticking with us and being present during these conversations. We really do love all of your love and support and engagement. Before we head off, I do want to say that I want to recognize the behind the scenes folks. So the rest of our CoSR cohort who couldn't be here today, but they are definitely supporting us from behind. So Maya, Ethan, Molly, Richie, James, and I believe that's all I have, right? How many numbers am I holding? Yes, okay, I think that's all of them. And then also our executive board and also UVSA-Midwest, who has been supporting us through the behind the scenes as well. But the next time you will see us, we'll be discussing about representation and how that looks today in our society. And, and then further than that, we are coming to a close to our term. So just get ready, y'all, because it's about to be a heck of like emotional time. But let's not think about that just yet, but it is coming to a close. But until then, this was episode 7, and we look forward to seeing you all in episode 8. This was CoSR. Let's go start a conversation. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.